Service Center is a full-service auto mechanic conveniently located at downtown Waterbury. Call 802-244-7202 to make an appointment.
The Brady Farkas Show is produced and funded by WDEV and the Radio Vermont Group. We welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to wdev@radiovermont.com.
The energy.
So this guy in the fantasy baseball chat is just ripping me. He's calling me names for how I handled my team. Buddy, you had 20 weeks for your own team to play better. Don't be mad at me.
The passion.
Mac Jones is fighting not just for his Patriots job, but he very well may be fighting for his NFL future.
The opinions on all your favorite teams.
For the Red Sox, it can't always be about next year. It can't always be about down the road. Where's the team that battles for now?
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday here on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Full show tonight. We're up for all 90 minutes up until 7 o'clock, and then we give it over to Red Sox baseball. Sox looking for another win today in Arlington against old friend Nathan Eovaldi. Sox with a nice win yesterday coming from behind to beat the Texas Rangers. That, again, has some impact on the American League playoff race. Rangers are now tied for the third and final wild card spot in the American League with the Mariners. They're a game and a half back of the Houston Astros. There's a lot of stuff going on there. The Red Sox will have their hands in it. They'll look to get a win again today. We'll talk Patriots a lot today as well as Red Sox. We'll recap some of what Tyler Milliken had to tell us yesterday, some stuff that's come out about High and Bloom. And then Evan Cohen from ESPN Radio, their new morning show host, is going to be with us at about 6:15. Evan's a good guy. I know him a little bit. We've spoken in the past, met a couple of times, and he'll be with us talking Pats about 6:15. He's actually a big Patriots fan. You can get in 802-585-3026. That's the text line number, 802-585-3026. I'm here. Danny's here. Danny, let go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts on the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They are online at sticksandstuff.com. Also, that new location, by the way, remember, that's in Rouse's Point, New York. Danny, we are 24 hours removed from yesterday's show, and I'm still not okay with Bill Belichick putting Demario Douglas on ice. I know that he fumbled. I know that fumbling is a critical mistake. I know that turnovers are evil. I know that you don't want to be reckless with the football. I know you don't want to be careless with the football. I know we talk about giveaways. I know we talk about takeaways. I know we talk about turnover margin. And it's always the first thing in the box score that you go and look at. Okay, what was the turnover differential? Oh, they forced 3 turnovers? They probably won. Oh, they gave up 3 turnovers? No, they probably lost. That's what we look at. We are conditioned to think that turnovers are the devil. I am with you on that. But 24 hours later, I am not okay still with Bill Belichick punishing Demario Douglas and punishing the team for committing a turnover that was created out of effort, right? Danny, there's mistakes that are made that are mistakes out of carelessness. There's mistakes that are made out of negligence. There's mistakes that are made out of not caring. And there's mistakes that are made out of trying to do too much. And that's what I saw from Pop Douglas. And I don't think that all turnovers are created equal. I don't think that all mistakes are created equal. And I don't think it's fair for Bill Belichick to treat them all as equal. And I'm still not satisfied with what Bill Belichick had to say about the whole thing. Bill was pressed on WEEI yesterday morning by the host, who was Chris Curtis, about Demario Douglas's benching. And Danny, here was the short answer that Belichick gave.
Yeah, well, he was in the game. He was in the game as a punt returner.
On offense. So,
yeah. I mean, we have other skilled players on offense too, so it's nothing more important than ball security.
AKA Belichick's telling you he fumbled the football and we got other guys that we can go to, right? That's what Bill is telling you. And from a numbers perspective, he is right? They could play Kendrick Bourne. They could play Devontae Parker. They could play Juju. They've got Gesicki. They've got Henry. They've got Ramondre. They've got Ezekiel Elliott. From a numbers standpoint, Bill Belichick is telling you, we got other guys who can play. That's all well and good. I still don't like it. And I don't like it for a lot of reasons. Okay, a lot of which are repeat reasons from yesterday, but I'm still not over this. One, Demario Douglas is a rookie. And I get you want to punish the rookie. I get you want to make a point. I get you don't want to allow the rookie to have complacency. I get you don't want the rookie to take advantage of something or to think he's above something or to think he can get away with anything. I do get it. I promise you. I have coached before. And whether you're coaching 14-year-olds, 17-year-olds, or pros, I get you wanting to make a point that incompetence is not allowed. I do understand that. But I still believe that that Sunday could have been a teaching moment. Could have been a teaching moment. And I'm sorry, I don't think that putting the guy on ice is the proper teaching moment. You know what that leads me to believe? That leads me to believe that if I'm Demario Douglas, now I think I can never make a mistake again. And you know what that leads me to believe? That makes me think that I am scared. Okay, that makes me play scared, and I can't play at my best that way. I don't know who Demario Douglas is as a person inside, but I know who Brady Farkas is. And Brady Farkas would not like that message being sent. And you can think that I'm soft, or you can think that I'm a millennial, or you can think this, that, or the other. You know what? Demario Douglas is in Gen Z. All I ever hear about is how Gen Z is worse off than the generation before that, who's worse off than the generation before that. So if I feel that way, there's a decent chance that Demario Douglas feels that way. I'll tell you a story that encapsulates it perfectly. Danny, I was the starting pitcher on my high school's senior night. Okay? Right? We had 3 games a week. We had a Monday game, a Wednesday game, and a Friday game. Usually the top 2 starters would start the biggest 2 games of the week, and I would start the 3rd game. So it's just so happened that the 3rd game ended up being our senior night. And I started out, I was pitching really well through the first 2 innings or whatever. And then in the 3rd, I had not great control, right, as a high schooler, right? I was tall and thin. I was growing into my body. I was trying to manage my mechanics. I'm growing into things. Things are moving all over the place. It was hard for me to throw consistent strikes. I was also always nervous. I've talked a lot about kind of my own battle with mental, with sports psychology, right, and always being nervous. Well, nonetheless, it's senior night, and I'm pitching, and 3rd inning comes around, and I walk the first 2 guys or something. I'm going 3-2 on everybody else, and it's kind of like, okay, now I've walked the bases loaded, and the manager comes out to me, my head coach, and he was an intimidating guy. He had a football mentality. I really, really like him and respect him, but he was your classic old school guy, and he comes out to me and says, "I'll give you this batter, but if you walk another guy, you're coming out of the game." Danny, what do you think happened the next batter?
4 straight pitches, walk.
I don't know that it was 4 straight pitches, but it was definitely a walk. Okay. When he came out to me and said that, all he did was take an already nervous, an already amped up guy, an already emotional wreck, and make me more nervous. That's all that happened. That's all that accomplished. He thinks he's out there zoning me in. He thinks he's out there helping me. He thinks he's out there providing me motivation by giving me this ultimatum. It did the complete opposite. That's who I was. And yes, it was a fault of mine as a player, but I recognize that fault. And again, I don't know who Demario Douglas is as a player, but I can tell you that a lot of guys don't respond to that kind of stuff. And that is why we've seen coaches evolve over the last several years, right? Through sports psychology, through mental conditioning, through understanding of the mind, through mental skills development. Players and coaches are talking about it in a way they never have. They're doing it, and teams have entire staffs dedicated to it because it is important. And when Bill Belichick says to the kid, essentially, right, with no words, okay, if you make this mistake, you're not seeing the field anymore. Well, how can I, as Demario Douglas, how can I grow from that? How can I be confident in that? I don't think that I could, right? I don't believe that the right way to get to a player on a first offense is by telling them essentially, if you do this, you are done. And I get that it's the pros and it's not your local high school. At the end of the day, it's still a young player. It's a young player going through something for the very first time. And that guy deserves to be handled a little bit differently, right? You can talk to a 10-year veteran a different way than you can talk to a rookie. You can talk to a guy who's played at Alabama differently than you could talk to a guy who's played at Division III. There was a chance there for a teaching moment. There was a chance there for a confidence building moment. And instead, we got the old school, let me break you down, let me punish you, let me think, let me make you fearful. And that's not a way for a team to play, and that's not the way for a player to play. And I'm sorry, again, if you think that I'm soft or you think that I'm too new school, but this is how I see it. I get it. You don't want the guy to fumble 3 times. If the guy fumbles 3 times or a guy throws 5 picks or a guy misses 10 tackles, that guy does deserve to be taken off the field. But those are habitual offenses. This was a first-time offense from a rookie player trying to make a play, trying to prove himself. Demario Douglas is a 6th-round draft pick. Nothing is guaranteed for him. As much as the team likes him, as much as the coaching staff might like him, as much as Robert Kraft or Mac Jones or whoever might like him, nothing is guaranteed for him. So I understand why he's out there trying to do more. I understand why he's out there trying to make the most of his opportunity. He doesn't know when he's going to get one again. So he goes out there, he tries to go above and beyond, he makes a mistake, and instead of pulling him to the side saying, hey, Demario, I know what you're doing comes from a good place. I understand you're trying to help us. We've been sputtering on offense. I understand that you are out here trying to show yourself, and I do appreciate that. But we cannot have ball security issues, okay? If Bill Belichick went to him and says, Demario, I would rather you get tackled 4 yards earlier but hold on to the football than see you get up and juke and sidestep and try to race down the middle of the field. I would rather have that than so be it. But that's a teaching moment. The teaching moment doesn't need to be, hey, kid, you screwed up. Now go sit in the corner. I just don't believe in that for a first-time offense. Okay, not everybody's wired that way. And a lot of today's athletes are not wired that way. I mean, Danny, how are you wired? If you made a mistake producing this show and I went to you and said, Danny, if you ever do that again, I'm going to have you fired. Do you think, would that help you perform better on the next day's show?
No, my hands would probably be shaking on the board the whole time.
Okay, and again, not everybody's wired like us, but essentially what Demario Douglas had on Sunday was his job security threatened. Not everybody responds to that. Not everybody responds to that. As I said yesterday, some guys need a kick on the butt and some guys need a pat on the butt. But I don't know that anybody responds well to having their job threatened. And that's exactly what Demario Douglas had the other day. And I don't like it. I don't agree with it. And by the way, also, the team can't afford it. This team is not good enough to be taking good skill players off the field. They're just not. Okay? If this were a team, right, like if I'm the Dolphins and for some reason Mike McDaniel said, Tyreek Hill, you did this, you're going to sit for an entire quarter. That would be really, really difficult, but at least they got Jalen Waddle. Okay? Or if they said, hey, Jalen Waddle, go sit in the corner for a quarter. Hey, at least we got Tyreek Hill. The Patriots don't have that luxury. So, in my opinion, you've hurt Demario Douglas's confidence, but you've also hurt the team. And I'd like to know today, to a man giving them truth serum, how Bill O'Brien feels about this and how the teammates of Demario Douglas feel about this. Because if I am a teammate of Demario Douglas, I'm sitting in that locker room thinking, our head coach hurt us today. Our head coach took an opportunity for us to maybe win that game away. Now, I'm not saying Demario Douglas is Stephon Diggs out there. But if I'm a member of the Patriots defense, I'm looking at this saying, hey, we gave up 24 points. We did our job. Our offense couldn't score more than 17. You know how maybe they could have scored more than 17? If we had all of our best players on the field, and we didn't. That's how I'm looking at this if I am a Patriots defensive player. If I'm Mac Jones, I'm looking at this wondering, hey, look, the kid screwed up, but that kid makes plays, and we need playmakers. If I'm Bill O'Brien, I'm thinking, Bill, You brought me here to improve this offense, and here we are today. Okay, we're already screwed by injury on the offensive line. We're already playing with one hand tied behind our back, and you want to go and throw a couple other fingers from the other hand behind my back. What am I supposed to do as a play caller when you're not giving me all the guys at my disposal? I understand you don't want to reward incompetence. You don't want to reward mistakes. You don't want to forgive every mistake, and you don't want to just make it so that nobody feels they have to be accountable. It is a balance. But this is a young player and a good player that you chose to give a lesson to, and I think you hurt him, and I think you hurt the team. For what? For the sake of proving a point. Okay? You want to scream at him, point it out in film on Monday. Tell him, hey, Demario, you're going to run 10 laps with the ball taped to your finger. I don't care. But there was a time and a place for a teaching method to happen here that didn't involve hurting the kid's confidence and didn't involve hurting him. Kyle says, didn't Belichick realize his rookie hadn't even played preseason games because he was hiding it from other teams? Douglas did appear in preseason games, just didn't appear much. But that's a good point, right? Like, Demario Douglas didn't play a lot in preseason, right? We saw him for a couple of snaps in preseason. One, I don't remember if we saw him as anything more than a punt returner maybe in preseason game number 2. It's a guy who didn't get a lot of reps, who hasn't gotten a lot of game reps, who hasn't seen a ton of the NFL defensive players' ability to close on you, right? The only way you're going to learn is through game situation, trial and error. And he tried and he made an error, and that can be corrected and pointed out in a more constructive way. And it wasn't. It was pointed out in an old school way that I think hurts the player and hurts the team. It's the Brady Farkas Show here on WDEV, AM and FM at WDEVradio.com. We're going to have Evan Cohen on. I'm going to ask him about this coming up about 6:15. We're going to talk a lot of Patriots with Evan, who's from ESPN Radio, who's a great guy, who's a great Patriots fan as well, and now he's doing it for ESPN Radio. We will talk with him about 6:15. I want to shift into the Red Sox next. There is something we heard about Chaim Bloom over the last few days that was very, very worrisome, and I can understand why Red Sox ownership wanted to move on from this particular aspect of Chaim Bloom. I'll tell you what that was next on DEV.
Find a rewarding career at the Gary Residence, a new state-of-the-art residential care home purposefully designed for the nurture and care of those living with memory loss.
It's a really great environment to work in. And it doesn't matter what position you have here. We're all one big happy family.
I'm really fortunate to work here and have all of these people in my life.
The Gary Residence is currently looking for experienced LPNs, med techs, and resident service assistants to join the memory care team. Learn more and apply at thegaryresidence.com.
Waterbury invites you to think local, buy local, and be local by experiencing our many recreational opportunities with something for everyone in your group. You can hike, bike, walk, run, paddle, skate, and stroll, and even swim in Waterbury. Between the Perry Hill Bike Trails, Little River State Park, and Waterbury Reservoir, there's year-round fun for all levels. Get outside and start your next active adventure. Our small businesses and colorful mix of restaurants have everything you need to create an unforgettable experience. Even your dog will have a great time. Black Cap Coffee and Bakery of Vermont is now open in the historic Waterbury train station. Black Cap is the new place for lunch and for gatherings in Waterbury. Open daily with made in-house pastries and sandwiches for breakfast and lunch. Stop by on your way to or from any hike or bike ride or for a central meeting location. Black Cap Coffee and Bakery is a great place to eat, meet, and work now in the Waterbury train station and in Burlington, Stowe, and Morrisville. Visit blackcapvermont.com for more information.
The WDEV studio is sponsored by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont's largest independent home center, powered by Marvin Doors and Windows. Go to sticksandstuff.com for store locations and hours.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-917-5151. 800-917-5151. 800-917-5151. What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun. So you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
Now try Babbel free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
WDEV also serves the Northeast Kingdom at 101.9 W270BR Island Pond.
Want Brady to hear your opinion on the sports stories of the day? Text in at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. You know, one of the best things I ever heard also in my life was it's never good or bad. There's always, in every situation, there's good and bad, right? Not good or bad, there's good and bad. That's why when we unpack the Patriots on a Monday morning, we tell you things that happened that were good, things that happened that were bad. Whether they win 30-10 or lose 30-10, there's always a little bit of each. And the same is true when it comes to examining Chaim Bloom and his tenure with the Red Sox. So at times you have heard me praise Chaim Bloom. At times you have heard me rip things that Chaim Bloom has done again. So I don't want you to get it twisted. I don't want people to think, oh, Brady's straddling the fence. Brady's not taking a side. No, I'm just telling you the truth. Okay. And in Chaim Bloom's tenure, there are things he did that were very, very good. And I think creating the better farm system, I think being disciplined in the moves he made or didn't make when it came to prospects, I think that was very, very good. I think he didn't do the right thing at the trade deadline in 2022. I think that they didn't do enough in the trade deadline in 2023. I think they didn't do enough in the off seasons the last couple of years, aside from Trevor Story and Yoshida. And I don't think he handled the thing with Bogarts well. So there's good and there is bad in what Chaim Bloom did. A report came out late last week that Chaim Bloom turned down an opportunity to get rid of Chris Sale's contract. Basically, Chris Sale was injured. He had $50 million left on his contract. A team wanted to trade for Sale and was willing to take all the money. And Chaim Bloom said no because the return wasn't good enough. And Tyler Milliken of 98.5 The Sports Hub was on with us yesterday and kind of ran with that report as well, Danny.
I think where this is going to hurt them is that they're looking for some of the long-term guys. Chris Antonetti, a personal favorite of mine when we're talking about names that could be available. He's the president of baseball operations in Cleveland, has been with Terry Francona for a long time over there. I think someone like him who has security, that knows where they stand and how all of this plays out, you know, it's very hard to imagine him saying, all right, I'm going to go to Boston where even if I go win a World Series like Dave Dombrowski, it may not be enough for me to kind of stick here and have this long-term thing. I think where you'll see some of the interest continue to fall through are guys that fit into that Bloom category, right?
That's not quite the one that we wanted. Nonetheless, either way, Tyler Milliken said that there was a report that Bloom wasn't decisive enough, right? So I tell you the story about Sale, that he passed on trading Sale because the deal wasn't in his favor enough. And then Milliken also told us that, you know, Bloom was fretting about money. He didn't know if he gave too much to Yoshida, didn't know if he gave too much to Story, that basically Bloom wasn't decisive enough. So what I'm getting at is this is one of the first things. Go ahead, Danny, do you have the right cut?
Oh, the Chris Sale report from Rob Bradford talking about there was a deal where you could have offloaded that contract. Chaim ultimately didn't make the deal because he didn't like the return. We all sit here and say, well, you could have got Chris Sale's contract off the book. You know, the biggest flaw of 2022, and I was super hard when it came to Chaim Bloom in 2022 because he couldn't get under the luxury tax. And that ultimately shaped the entire perspective for this season, how they went about it that off season. And that's just what it is here. I think the ownership was looking for someone who was willing to kind of put their foot down, be a bit more aggressive.
Okay. So this is something that does worry me about Chaim Bloom. It's something that we didn't know. And it's something that I've heard that I don't love. So again, there's good and bad. This one to me is actually a pretty damning bad side of things. Danny, have you ever played fantasy sports, fantasy football, fantasy basketball, fantasy baseball, whatever?
Of course.
Okay. Have you ever been in a league with a guy who you just can't trade with. Like, you just can't make a deal with this guy, because this guy, in order to make a deal, has to win the deal overwhelmingly. And to that point, you've stopped trying to trade with this guy because he's basically impossible to deal with. Have you ever played with somebody like that?
It's infuriating.
Okay, that's essentially who Chaim Bloom was, apparently. And that's not necessarily the best thing for a baseball team. Now, I have said, and I just said it a minute ago, and I mean it, I give Chaim Bloom a lot of credit for being disciplined in not moving off of the prospects, right? For not moving Duran, for not moving Rafaela, for not moving Casas, for not moving Abreu after they acquired him, for not moving on from the young guys from Bayo. I give him a lot of credit for that, because it's tantalizing to go and trade prospects. I give him credit for not doing that. But Chaim Bloom is apparently the guy who needs to win the deal overwhelmingly. And that is not what you need always in your general manager or in your chief baseball officer. So I feel like I've been a little long-winded because I got a little thrown off by me playing the wrong cut there. But that to me worries me. And that is something that I can understand the Red Sox not wanting to deal with. I still believe ownership puts guys like this on an expiration date. I still think ownership is the problem for a lot of this. But to hear that Bloom had a chance to get rid of sales money, but had to have the deal be perfect for him, so he couldn't do it. To hear that he's analyzing every single dollar given because he's worried about if it's perfect, that's no good. You can't be the riverboat guy like Dombrowski always, who just trades everyone willy-nilly. You can't be this guy either, who has to win the deal, who has to win the deal overwhelmingly. I heard John Tomasi of NBC Sports Boston say this the other day, and it's exactly right. Danny, I've never done this either, but you haven't done it either, right? You and I have never bid on houses, but let's just say that a house is for sale at $400,000. Well, now you're told, and I'm told by the realtor, that there's a bidding war going on, right? Now you and I are bidding against each other. We have no idea what each person is bidding. You put in a bid at $410,000. I put in a bid at $420,000. I have won the deal, but Chaim Bloom wants to be the guy who got it as close to your number as possible. He wants to win the deal at $410,001 because that to him is a win. He's not happy to win it at $420,000 because he feels like he overpaid, and he's upset by that, and he's bothered by that, and he's got to have every prospect exactly right? He wants your 1, 2, and 3 prospects, and if you offer him your 1, 2, and 4, he's not happy with it, and therefore the deal's not going to happen. He wants you to take on $50 million of a contract, but you're offering to take 40, and he says, no, that's not good enough. He's holding out for the perfect offer. You have to be a little bit flexible. And if Chaim Bloom gets an opportunity to do this job again, I hope that he learns from that. Again, you can't be Riverboat Ron on everything. You just can't. You can't throw away money. You can't throw away prospects. You can't just make deals for the sake of making them. But you have to take some risks. You have to take some calculated risks, and you have to understand that even if it's not it's super clear to see that you won the deal, that there are still wins to be had. And if the Red Sox were paralyzed by the idea of having perfection, or if Bloom was paralyzed by that, then that's a problem. Here's what Bradford said about that. Danny, let me play it.
There are, they had deals from what I understand. They were talking to the Yankees and the Astros about Verdugo. Okay, well, you didn't make the deals. That's your prerogative.
Right.
I mean, you have another year of Verdugo. Maybe you feel like you can trade him in the offseason. And, they have made, and then, they've made good deals. I mean, Vasquez for the 2 guys who are out here, that was a good deal. There's no question about it. But the problem is that this was the narrative too many times. I was hearing, other people were saying about sort of this paralysis.
Chaim Bloom is the fantasy owner who has to have everything be overwhelmingly positive for him and therefore you can't deal with. I can defend Chaim Bloom on a lot of things and I can rip ownership on a lot of things. I think ownership plays a large role in this thing from the start. But that is one of the most damning things I have heard about Chaim Bloom, and I hope he learns from it that the perfect deal doesn't always exist, and his pursuit of it hurt his chances here in Boston. CBS News is next on DEV.
96.1 WDEV FM Warren, 96.5 W243 AT Barrie, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com.
I'm Monica Ricks in New York. President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russia's weaponizing everything in Ukraine now and told leaders today at the UN that the same could happen to them.
Evil cannot be trusted. Ask Prigozhin if one bets on Putin's promises.
The mercenary leader died in a suspicious plane crash last month. President Biden also spoke today at the UN and backed Ukraine's efforts against Russia while urging leaders to take more action on climate change. In Washington, House Republicans are gearing up for their first hearing in their impeachment inquiry against the president. Here's CBS's Catherine Herridge.
A Republican aide to the House Oversight Committee tells CBS News they intend to subpoena Hunter and James Biden's personal and business banking records as early as this week. Until now, Republican committee investigators have relied on documents from Hunter Biden's close associates, not members of the Biden family.
Welcome to Virginia. Welcome to the U.S.
5 Americans released by Iran finally got to hug their families today. They were freed as part of a controversial prisoner swap. The United Auto Workers strike is still going and could get bigger soon if automakers can't reach a deal by Friday. These workers are holding the line in Wayne, Michigan.
We got to reach this deal one way or another. We've given up so much over the years in the last few contracts. This is the only way we're going to get it back. We got to do what we got to do.
It's what sends a message. You know, you got to hit them where it hurts, right in their pocketbook.
In New York, 2 daycare workers have been arrested. CBS's Matt Piper.
A New York City daycare operator and a man who rented a room from her are facing federal charges because of the amount of drugs found. Inside that Bronx daycare, police say 1 kilo of fentanyl in a hallway closet and 3 kilo press machines, which are used to package drugs. 1 child was killed, 3 others hospitalized after being exposed to the deadly drug.
Opioids, including fentanyl, have killed more than 111,000 people in the U.S. in just the last year. A teen in Texas is still taking heat over his hair.
Daryl George has already served more than 2 weeks of in-school suspensions over his twisted locks. And when he arrived this week with the same hairstyle, he was suspended again. His mother, Jerisha, says the Houston area school is
basically picking with my child.
The school says his hairstyle, which he's been growing for 10 years, violates its dress code because of its length when let down. But his mother says
his hair is always up.
That's CBS's Allison Keyes. Colorado coach Deion Sanders is now condemning death threats against Colorado state safety Henry Blackburn over a hard hit that sent one of his players to the hospital. He says Blackburn made a mistake, but it's so bad now, police are involved. This is CBS News.
When you think of hiring, think of Indeed. Their end-to-end hiring system helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all in the same place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Your first stop when you want to give your home a new look is Bisbee's Hardware. Our store has a new look, too. A look that makes it even easier for you to plan for your next paint job. Using Benjamin Moore, of course. We've updated our color displays, and we've created comfortable selection stations. You can browse on your own or work with our professionals to choose just the right color and just the right finish. We're the perfect place to get started. Benjamin Moore. Available at Bisbee's Hardware. 76 McNeil Road, Waterbury Center, and 109 Mad River Green, Waitsfield. Bisbee'sVT.com.
Hey, it's Charlie Papillo. Coming up on the next Travels with Charlie, we'll talk with Greg Tatro from Jenna's Promise about their upcoming auction fundraiser to benefit their recovery centers. And trying to give up tobacco? Dana Bourne from the Vermont Department of Health's 802 Quits program has the details to help get you started. Travels with Charlie is brought to you by Casella Waste Systems, Jolly Convenience Stores, Milne Travel, and Myers Wood-Fired Bagels. I'll see you in my travels Monday at 1, right here on WDEV.
Have you ever dreamt of standing on the edge of the world, surrounded by awe-inspiring glaciers and breathtaking landscapes? Your dream can now become a reality with our exclusive Radio Vermont trip to Antarctica in January. Radio Vermont's own Roger Hill will be your guide, unraveling the mysteries of weather phenomena unique to this frozen realm.
You'll fly from Burlington on January 24th and be back on February 5th. You'll experience close encounters with majestic icebergs, observe mesmerizing wildlife like penguins and seals in their natural habitat, and even have a chance to set foot on the untouched continent itself.
Our expert expedition team will lead you on thrilling Zodiac excursions, taking you up close to hidden coves and historical sites, making sure every moment is an adventure.
Seats are limited for this once-in-a-lifetime expedition. Don't miss your chance to explore Antarctica. Prices start at about $11,000 per person.
Call your Milne travel agent today at 800-78-MILNE to secure your spot.
The Brady Farkas Show now has an interactive text line, so reach out now at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Red Sox baseball comes up about 1 hour from now. 7:05 with the pregame show, 8:05 with the first pitch. We will have the lineups for you right before we get to the pregame show. We'll have Evan Cohen from ESPN Radio on here in about 10 minutes. I get a text on the text line, 802-585-3026 from Dean over in South Burlington, who says, unpopular opinion, but I'd like to see the Red Sox be really bad for 2 or 3 years, get high draft picks, and be like the Baltimore Orioles are in their rebuild. They've been a pleasure to watch, and oh, by the way, they're in first place. That's very, very true. The Orioles have tanked to perfection and have gotten really, really good. The Red Sox can't do that. Not now, at least. They could have done it. They can't do it now. Okay, the Red Sox are headed for 3 last-place finishes in 4 years. You can't ask the fans to sit through another 2 or 3 years of dreadfulness that's much worse than this. You just can't. Right now, it's impossible. And now, by the way, you don't really need to. If you are the Red Sox, you're stocked in a lot of ways with good stuff. Right? You no longer need to tank. The time, if you were going to tank, if you were going to strip it down for the Red Sox, the time to do that was in 2020, was starting in 2020. If you wanted to strip it down, okay, you would have traded Betts as you did. You would have traded Sale. Now, he ended up getting hurt, needing Tommy John surgery, so I don't know what his market would have been at the time, but maybe before he got injured, you could have dealt Sale. You would have moved on from Evaldi. You would have moved on from, one of Bogarts or Devers, right? You would probably would have committed to one of them and moved on from the other. You would have moved on from Vasquez. You would have traded a lot of the guys that had helped you win the World Series in 2018 that were still there. A lot of the aging veteran core. You would have moved on from Jackie Bradley Jr. You would have moved on from Andrew Benintendi. The time to tank and to gut it was back in 2020 when Bloom came in and just say, hey, we're going to take a step back 2 or 3 years. We're going to get prospects. We're going to get draft picks. We're going to trade for minor leaguers. That was the time to do it. It's no longer the time for it now. You are already through some of a rebuild. And it's not right. You've had your foot in both camps, so you haven't fully gone into the rebuild, but you've already got a lot invested in that. You've already got young players you think are part of your future core, right? You've got Wong, who's here. You've got Casas, who's here. You've got Rafaela, who's here. You've got Abreu, who's here. You've already spent on Yoshida. You already spent on Devers. You've already spent on Story. You've got Duran. You've got Bayo. You've got Crawford. You can utilize some of these pieces on the farm if you want to go get yourself more ready major league players, right? If you want to trade Verdugo for a major league player, you can. But if you want to trade Abreu for a major league player, you can. If you want to trade Abreu for a pitcher, you can. You've already come through a partial rebuild. You no longer need to. And by the way, I don't have all of the rules in front of me, nor do I have them all memorized, but tanking now is not as advantageous as it used to be, right? We look at the Astros who tanked for a bunch of years and ended up with number one pick and number one pick and number one pick. Oh, this is why. Because it's a draft lottery now. Being the worst team in baseball no longer guarantees you having the number one pick, right? Before, it was a race to the bottom. That's what the Orioles could do. That's what the Astros did. Now, to combat tanking, we have the ping pong ball system like you've had in the NBA. So being the worst team does not guarantee you the number one pick. So if the Red Sox tanked it for the next 3 years, they might end up with the number 5 pick, which would still be good, but it's not number 1. It's not getting you Paul Skeens, the guy from LSU, or Dylan Cruz, the outfielder from LSU, or Wyatt Langford, the outfielder this year out of Florida, who went number 3 to the Rangers. You're not guaranteeing yourself that. So it's not as advantageous as it used to be to tank. And also the Red Sox just don't need it right now. They've already got a lot of young things to be excited about. I'm disappointed to hear that Bloom report because the perfect deal doesn't exist. Well, it exists, but if you keep chasing the perfect deal, you're going to be, as Rob Bradford said, you're going to be paralyzed by the pursuit of it. And you're going to hurt the baseball team by not being able to ever pull the trigger, or only being able to pull the trigger when it's only advantageous for you. Teams aren't going to want to deal with you. Teams are going to know that you're looking to fleece them, and they're going to be turned off by you. That is the most damning thing about Chaim Bloom that I have heard throughout this entire process. Again, don't love every move that was made. Don't love every move that wasn't made. And it seems like now we know where that comes from. It comes because Chaim Bloom had to look at everything through only a what fully benefits me prism. And that's not a way to run a baseball team. You're going to make deals. It's going to hurt at times when you give up prospects or when you sign guys to big money. It is, but it has to be done. Most of my non-Red Sox knowledge is about the Mariners. So I apologize for talking to you about a team that I know you don't care about. But I look at it this way, or I've heard this before. Okay, told you that the Mariners tanked it. They tanked it for multiple years. They built up the farm system. They got young pitching. They traded away. Right, the Mariners traded away James Paxton, and they traded away Robinson Cano, and they traded away Edwin Diaz, the best young closer in baseball. They traded away veterans like Jay Bruce and Carlos Santana and Edwin Encarnacion. They traded away all these guys, okay? And they went and got prospects, and they went and developed a core, and they got relatively high draft picks. And then when it came time, some of those guys matriculated to the majors. You've heard of them now: Julio Rodriguez, Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, J.P. Crawford. So you've seen these guys come up, but you've also seen some of them spun off. And that's what Chaim Bloom doesn't really want to do. Okay, he doesn't want to spin off guys. He doesn't want to trade major leaguers unless it fully benefits him, right? The Mariners last year traded away the top 2 prospects in their organization for Luis Castillo, a top-flight pitcher. And Jerry DiPoto said, it hurt me to give up 2 of our top prospects. It hurt me to give up both shortstop prospects. It hurt me to give up these guys that we found, we developed, we signed, we drafted, we cultivated. I had a pit in my stomach, but that's what it takes to go get a number 1 pitcher who can help lead us to the playoffs. He had the guts to pull the trigger. And Chaim Bloom right now, it looks like, doesn't have that. I hope that he learns from it. I hope the Red Sox bring in a guy in the future who does have the guts to pull the trigger, because right now it looks like Chaim Bloom doesn't. And that is the most damning thing that I have heard about him. There is a lot to like about Chaim Bloom. That is one that I didn't enjoy hearing. Peter says Chaim Bloom messed up by not unloading Sale's contract. I hope it was my Reds who tried to go after him, by the way. P.S. Dealing with fussy fantasy managers is the worst. Yeah, I can imagine. Now imagine dealing with it on a real life level when you got hundreds of millions of dollars at stake, and not just, fantasy bragging rights or your $500 pot at the end of the tunnel. Evan Cohen's going to join us here momentarily from ESPN Radio, but I want to play this, something I wanted to get to yesterday that I didn't get to. Danny, did you see what Tyreek Hill said, Dolphins wide receiver, said after the Dolphins beat the Patriots on Sunday? 24-17 was the final in that game. After the game, Tyreek Hill said this to reporters about beating the Patriots and their fans.
It felt tremendous, man. Those fans are, some of the worst fans in the NFL, and I'm gonna stand on that, man, because they're real nasty, and some of the things that they were saying wasn't, I wouldn't say in church. So it felt great to wave goodbye to the fans, and I'll do it again. Bye.
Okay, so Tyreek Hill says he takes great pleasure in beating the fans, says the Patriot fans are the nastiest in the league, and he says they're some of the worst fans in the NFL, and he's going to stand on that. First and foremost, let me just say this. One, I don't want to hear anything from Tyreek Hill about bad fans, right? I don't want to hear about, me amend this. If Patriot fans were saying racist, homophobic, or sexist things, that would be horrible, right? And that deserves to be brought to light. Beyond that, I don't want to hear about Patriots fans when it comes from Tyreek Hill, because Tyreek Hill is one of the most unlikable people in the NFL, okay? And Tyreek Hill, of all people, should not be calling out other people's behavior. And that's just how I feel about it, right? This past summer, Tyreek Hill, look, accused of slapping a 57-year-old man during an argument at a beach in Miami, okay? Then there was what he did, so they were investigating Hill for alleged assault and battery, facing a possible suspension for the league. This came out in June. Then you've got what happened to Hill, the reports of what he did to his pregnant girlfriend in college, reports of what he did to his kid. You can go find all of that, all the details on your own on the internet. Tyreek Hill is an unlikable guy. Tyreek Hill is not a guy that I want on my football team. So for Tyreek Hill to be calling out other people's behavior is very much pot calling kettle black, and I have no interest in hearing it. Again, if it's racist, sexist, or homophobic, it deserves to be brought to light because there's no place for that in society or in our football stadiums. But beyond that, I don't want to hear from Tyreek Hill. Unlikable guy, pot calling kettle black. I have no interest in his words on decorum and etiquette because he has shown none throughout the entirety of his professional life, the last decade or so, going back to his time in college and subsequently into the NFL. Then, on NFL fans and on Patriots fans, Eagles fans are nasty. We know that. New York fans can be nasty. Boston fans can be nasty. I'm not really into ranking the nastiness meters of fans because you know what? Here's the truth. All NFL fan bases have terrible fans, right? They all have great fans too. They all have terrible fans. There are terrible fans everywhere. There are bad people everywhere. And drunken, mainly dudes sitting in the upper deck or sitting in the first row, alcohol is only going to make it worse. And when there's a group of those dudes together, they're always going to feel drunken and empowered. And I think that all fan bases have complete idiots and complete losers. So for Tyreek Hill to sit here and single out Patriots fans as being bad, buddy, they're all bad, yours included. Okay, I went to a Seahawks Jaguars game back in about 2016 or 2017. The Jaguars, right, in Jacksonville. The Seahawks player gets ejected for what happened on the field. The Jags fan throws beer on him as he's walking off the field, and the Seahawks fans in the crowd, next dealing with the fan. Like this happened near me at an NFL game between the Seahawks and the Jaguars. Jaguars fans are acting that way. Tyreek Hill had beer thrown on him by Patriots fans on Sunday Night Football a handful of years ago with the Kansas City Chiefs, so I get he has an association with Patriots fans. Those fans exist everywhere. And I hate that they do. I'm not getting Patriots fans off the hook. It's just the way it is. NFL fans in general have a whole lot of jerks in them. And when you throw in, Sunday Night Football, 11 o'clock at night, a ton of alcohol, and a bunch of dudes in a group, it's only going to be worse. And it happens everywhere. It happens everywhere, unfortunately. But by and large, I don't want to hear from Tyreek Hill on how people should be acting because maybe he should look in the mirror and act with a little more decorum himself. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Let's go back to the Patriots on the field, where the Patriots are 0-2 right now. Let's go out to the phone line and bring on Evan Cohen. Evan Cohen is part of the new morning show at ESPN Radio. It's called Unsportsmanlike with Chris Canty, Evan Cohen, and Michelle Smallman. Very good show. A lot of the audio we play in the afternoon news service and on this show comes from that show. I know Evan a little bit. He's worked really hard for this opportunity. He's a great guy. He's really good at his job. We've got him on the phone line now. He's also a very big Patriots fan. So, Evan, congratulations on the new opportunity. Thanks very much for being with us. How are you?
Good, Brady. I appreciate you having me.
I appreciate you being with us. Let me start with this. You are a Patriots fan at 0-2. Are you panic or patience?
1,000% patient. Let's be fair on this. You lose the first game to the Philadelphia Eagles. If Keyshawn Booty's feet are down, who knows what happens. That's the defending NFC champs. You lose the second game to the Miami Dolphins, who many people think have the leading candidate right now for MVP in Tua, and who knows, all of a sudden if Cole Strange is 1 inch taller and gets the ball further, which I'm not blaming him, the offensive lineman in the lateral from Mike Gesicki, who knows what happens. They were inches away from 2 of the top 5 teams in the NFL, coming off a season in which their offense at times looked inept. I think their defense is one of the best in the league. The first game they were without their starting guard and right tackle. The second game they were without both tackles in Trent Brown and Riley Reif, and without their second, third, and fourth best corners. I am unbelievably patient with this team right now.
I think everything you said is right. I think everything you said is fair. But you know as well as I do that for 20 years, the Patriots found a way to win those games. For the last 4, they found ways to lose them. I mean, offsides against the Eagles on a play that negates a 15-yard loss there for the Eagles. Holding in the end zone that gives the ball at the 1-yard line. They make little mistake after little mistake, and they've been doing that for years now, Evan.
That is fair, but we have to understand we're looking at them through a different prism. Tom Brady is not there anymore. And so it is demoralizing to say this, that maybe the New England Patriots are more similar to a lot of other franchises in that there is a such thing as a moral victory, which is nauseating to think because if 12 was the under center, there is no such thing as a nauseating victory. And yes, this is years of it. The Bengals game last year, the Raiders game last year. I would agree with you, but we're talking about 2 teams in Miami and Philadelphia that I think you and I would both be stunned if come playoff time are not in the mix. So if they play the exact same way against the Jets on Sunday as they did against Miami and Philly, my assumption is they will win that game and win other games against lesser teams. But yes, I am, as charged, guilty on celebrating a moral victory.
What do you think of the decision by Belichick to keep Pop Douglas on ice after the fumble? I get maybe that worked in 1990, but this isn't baseball, right? We don't have 14 guys in AA that are prospects to bring up to replace guys who make mistakes. You got your 53, and you took a contributing player who has some speed off the field. You hurt the rest of the team in order to do what? To send a message? What about wrapping your arms around a young player? And I'm not saying to excuse it, but coaching the kid up rather than beating him down.
I think that is wrapping your arms around a young player. That's a young adult out there, right? I actually think that is exactly what that is. He just does it differently than other coaches do. He's done it the same way, as you said, for 20 years. And you can say, well, you have to evolve, you have to change. I get it. But that's part of the accountability culture that they have, that you cannot fumble the football. You have to be aware that all of a sudden Bradley Chubb can come from the opposite side of the field and strip the ball. I mean, I was watching that, and you saw that strip coming from a mile away, and the first thing I thought of was there's no chance in hell that Julian Edelman would have fumbled that ball. None. He would have made that same catch. He would have been explosive off of the catch. He would have gained further yardage from that, like Demario Douglas did, the rookie out of Liberty, and there's no way he would have fumbled the ball. And I think part of the benching comes for the long term. I think New England has always operated as a long-term, build steadily kind of organization, and I actually think that's exactly what he did. He did show some love and respect for Douglas on Sunday night because I think he's telling him, I believe in you for the long term. And because of the fact I believe in you for the long term, I have to penalize you in the short term.
Tom Curran, NBC Sports Boston, called it selective punishment. I mean, we didn't see Mack benched after a bad pick. We don't see defensive players benched after bad holding penalties or a bad offsides penalty. What do you make of those claims about selective punishment?
Oh, I think it's fair, but I also think it comes from a position that they're a lot deeper at in terms of the active bodies, right? I mean, you could say, well, Juju Smith-Schuster is not exactly what they thought he would be health-wise coming in, but you still have Devontae Parker, you still have Schuster. Yes, I mean, they have other guys in the mix, and obviously Booty wasn't active, and Thornton is not active. I get that, but there are still more guys there, plus the double tight end look. So, yeah, you could say selective punishment. I think there is something to that. But Mac Jones is not a rookie. What rookie did something on the defense that was so poor? Christian Gonzalez has been unbelievable. Keanu White has been very good as well. So, I mean, we've seen it in years past. I believe we saw it a couple of years ago with Christian Barmore when he made a mistake along the defensive line. And I think that I look at it and I say I believe in Belichick always developing his players for the long haul.
You became we're talking to Evan Cohen, by the way, ESPN radio host with us here in the Brady Farkas show on DEV. You became a Patriots fan, you once told me, because of Tom Brady, because you're attracted to greatness. As someone who's attracted to greatness, how frustrating has it been to watch the Patriots backslide?
Oh yeah, no, I'm a front runner. I'm not I'm not going to hide that, right? But I've been a front runner long enough where I'm earning maybe a stripe, but maybe not plural in terms of stripes. Yeah, it's frustrating, but I still see greatness organizationally. I still see greatness with the Kraft family. I still see greatness with Belichick. I still see the development of players and personnel, and I see them drafting a guy like Cole Strange in the first round when everybody's looking at them, and I think it's pretty cool for a player at some point. I see them drafting Christian Gonzalez, and like already he's the best corner they've had since Scott Gilmore, right? I mean, I think that you look at them, and I still think that there is that greatness, and I still am attracted to that greatness. I don't see it necessarily in Mac Jones, but I see it in and around the organization.
You've been in New York a long time. You've been around the New York Jets for a long time. Patriots are going to take on the Jets coming up on Sunday. Yes, I believe it's a must win. Yes, I think the Patriots will win. Talk to me a little bit about Zach Wilson, though, and kind of where he's at.
Okay, so I think that we forget something, and I'm to blame too, and you probably didn't talk about it on your show because I know you cover Boston and New York and in and around both of the areas, right, at times on the course of your show.
Yes.
So one thing we all avoided, the Jets acquire Aaron Rodgers, all the focus is on Aaron Rodgers. You remember last year, and I know you do, when the New York Jets players wore Mike White t-shirts, I have never seen an organization openly dislike a member of their own organization the way in which the Jets players and coaches allowed them to dislike publicly Zach Wilson. And now you're going to tell me he's the guy? I think this has been an amazing experience for Zach Wilson to sit behind Rodgers and learn from him. The problem is, I think we all lost sight of the fact that the Jets players and personnel gave up on this guy. So if he's not going to be very good, we shouldn't be surprised. Why, Brady? Because they told us they don't like him. So if New England can't win against that guy on Sunday, you're right. There is a must-win element. And then we're going to have that conversation of, oh, my God, could Belichick be on his last legs, which I don't think he is. But that is not a team on offense that is impressive. In addition, they have, I think, inexplicably had the young players out there complaining. I mean, Breece Hall is going to put out there the 4 footballs that he only got 4 attempts. I mean, my God, Breece, you're not Jim Brown. Can we relax a little bit? I mean, Sauce Gardner is going to be, taking down his Twitter. Let's pipe down a little bit here on this. And I think the Jets are already starting to show us same old Jets kind of mentality.
By the way, you said the other day, I think it was yesterday, that the Giants should not be excited about their victory against the Cardinals. I very much agree with you on that statement.
I mean, how can you be? You're down 20-0 in the first half of a game against a team that would rather lose than win.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know the players don't feel that way, but organizationally, to put players on the field or taking players off of the field who could help them in the case of off of win on lose. And you're still losing to them the way you were losing to them, you can't be celebrating that. Congratulations. You saved your season for a little bit. And now a short week on Thursday playing against San Francisco. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, they have Seattle and Miami after that. It's not a leap without Saquon to think that team is going to start the season 1-3. And I'll go one step further because we pay attention to this as, Patriots people and people that cover, in your case, the Pats. The Belichick assistants have an interesting career arc in the NFL. Everybody assumes they're all terrible. That's not necessarily true. But what they all are is overachievers in year 1, underachievers in year 2. Go look at Nick Saban with the Dolphins, year 1 versus year 2. Go look at Josh McDaniels with the Broncos, year 1 versus year 2. Go look at Romeo Crennel, year 1, year 2 with the Browns early on. Look at Eric Mangini with the Jets, year 1 versus year 2. It's not surprising to me that Brian Daboll overachieved in year 1 and likely will underachieve in year 2. And year 3 is always the test for the Belichick assistants. Can Joe Judge, who obviously is back with the Pats now, had a much better year 1 than he did year 2 with the Giants. So we forget because Daboll had the stops elsewhere, including Buffalo. But most of his time in his career was spent with Belichick. He learned from the greatest ever. And those guys changed the culture and changed the program in year 1. And they overachieve then and underachieve in year 2.
Evan Cohen, ESPN Radio, Unsportsmanlike. That's their new morning show at ESPN Radio. You hear a lot of clips from it throughout the day here on our station, and we're partnered with ESPN Radio as well. And Freddie Coleman is on our show every week, and he'll be on again with us tomorrow. Evan, man, much appreciated as always. Go Pats, and we'll catch up soon.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Anytime. I appreciate you having me, and go Pats.
There he goes, Evan Cohen, ESPN Radio. Again, unsportsmanlike, a new morning show over at ESPN Radio. Evan is a good dude. He and I first met. It was very, very interesting. He and I first met at the Super Bowl in Minneapolis, I think. That's the year where the Patriots played the Eagles. Maybe it was Atlanta before they played the Rams. I think that was it, actually. Atlanta against the Rams. No, it was Minneapolis against the Eagles. So Evan used to work at Sirius XM. He got the job at ESPN now just a couple of weeks ago, actually. But he used to work at Sirius XM, so he came on the show several years ago. It's the first time I met him. He and I have talked a few times since about various different things. Now that he's at ESPN, got him on again. So he is a good dude. He is a Patriots fan. I want to react to some of what he had to say later in the show. I know Danny's been working hard kind of as Evan's talking to cut things up, and we're going to have some of those talking points coming up here later in the show. But Danny, I did want to ask you this because I saw this today, and I would have talked about it yesterday, but I hadn't realized this. So I always watch Patriot games to the end. Always, right? They could be up 40-0. They could be down 40-0. I don't want to miss anything, right? So I always watch to the end, except on Sunday night I didn't. After they get denied on fourth down, right, on the lateral pass to Cole Strange, and the Dolphins are just going to run out the clock, I turned off the TV in anger. It's one of the first times I've ever done that for the Patriots. I turned off the TV in anger. I didn't realize this, and I don't know if you caught this either. Danny, did you see, and this is fascinating, so when the team is kneeling, usually what happens is ball gets snapped, everybody just stands up because everybody knows the game is over. And occasionally you'll see, like what happened with Greg Schiano in Tampa several years ago, is that the defensive team will play to the whistle, they'll play to the end of the game, and they'll go swipe it at the ball, they'll hit the center, and then everybody gets mad about you having unsportsmanlike conduct and like, how could you do that? The game is over. Why are you doing that? And what a bad sport you are. You're going to get people injured. That's what happens, right? Well, on Sunday, when the Dolphins kneeled on the football, Tua fumbled the snap. Tua fumbled the kneeled snap. And the Patriot players had all just stood up and given up. Had they played to the end of the game, had they taken a swipe at the ball, had they given a little nudge on the center, they very well could have recovered that ball and potentially gotten a chance to come back and tie the game again, at the 25 or 30-yard line again. Danny, did you see that?
I had the game on and I didn't even see that.
Yeah, so I didn't catch, like I said, I had turned it off in defiance. I didn't catch it in real time. Even when I went back and watched the expanded highlights, I didn't even watch the very last kneel down. So I saw it on Twitter today. Dakota Randall of Nesson is the guy who put it out there, but it had been put out there by other people. He just kind of had the tweet retweeted. And I went back and saw it, and yeah, Tua fumbles the snap on the kneel down. But the Patriots players stood up immediately, backed off of it, were ready to shake hands, had given up. And if they had kept playing, they would have, in theory, had a chance to go and get the ball. And I think it was their defensive line coach was asked, and he basically said, we will not make that mistake again. I know it's a 1 in a million chance that the quarterback fumbles the snap on the kneel down, but the 1 in a million chance happened, and we need to be ready for it, and we weren't. So I would expect the next time the Patriots are in a kneel down situation that you are going to see them go after the football, and people are going to be mad and say that they're dirty and say that they're classless and say that all that's Belichick being, whatever, and a sore loser, and that here they are, they're, going at the center's legs. I'm sure they're going to say all that. But now when you see that, you're going to know why. Because the Patriots missed out on a chance yesterday or on Sunday to get the football back. And I did not see it in real time. I would have brought it up yesterday in Unpacking the Patriots had I known about it. I didn't even see it until this morning. Go back and look at it on social media. Danny, you can we'll look at it in commercial break.
Mike Reese has it.
Okay, Mike Reese. Yes, Mike Reese had it. That's who Dakota Randall took it from. Are you watching the play right now? I know you're on the computer opposite me here in studio. Are you watching this play?
Yeah, I just watched it.
And so Tua, he fumbles the snap.
It's kind of shocking. You never see that.
I have never seen a quarterback fumbled a snap on a kneel down. And that's why he says it's a 1 in a million chance. I have never seen it happen, but it happened. But the Patriots players were, 2 yards off the line of scrimmage by that point because they just raised up and said, okay, it's over. We're giving up, which is what all teams do, except for the Greg Schiano-led Bucs. And now I think you're going to see the Patriots go all out, even on kneel downs, because they can't risk that happening again. They had a chance to get the ball back. It really blew my mind when I saw it, and credit to Mike Reese for actually having it on social media, seeing it, and then going to ask the Patriots coaching staff about it. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. All right. There's something else there's a lot of things I want to get to still, but Boomer Esiason said something yesterday on WEEI, the former NFL quarterback, that's completely in lockstep with what I've been saying all along. If you won't believe me, maybe you'll believe Boomer. I'll tell you what he had to say next on DEV.
When we need support, Vermonters know we can count on community. And when Vermont's community service providers need support, they count on the Vermont Community Loan Fund. For 35 years, VCLF has specialized in lending to community facilities and nonprofit service providers, including rural health centers, assisted living facilities, early care and learning programs, arts and cultural organizations, and even a historic general store or two. VCLF's flexible financing helps them do what they do best, guaranteeing access to essential quality of life services for all Vermonters. Vermont nonprofits and community facilities can count on the Vermont Community Loan Fund, so you can count on them. Isn't that what community is all about? Find out what the nonprofit lending specialists at the Vermont Community Loan Fund can do for your community at investinvermont.org. That's investinvermont.org.
This is David Goodman. Join me every Wednesday at 1 o'clock for the Vermont Conversation, brought to you by VTdigger.org, Vermont's nonprofit news source. I'll talk with national and local change makers from the worlds of politics, social and racial justice, science, education, and the environment who are having an impact on our daily lives. You can also hear the Vermont Conversation at VTdigger.org or sign up for our podcasts. Join me and take part in the Vermont Conversation Wednesdays at 1 here on WDEV.
Marvin windows are designed for unprecedented performance and exceptional aesthetics. Marvin's expansive window portfolio has every style you can imagine, all of them crafted with the highest quality material and the ability to mix and match across product lines that allows you to achieve the right form and function for your residential, commercial, and replacement needs. See our Marvin specialist at Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber in Middlesex, St. Albans, Enosburg, Swanton, and Derby, or online at sticksandstuff.com.
Is joint pain, soreness, and achiness getting in the way of your best life? Football legend Emmitt Smith refuses to back down to pain. That's why he's a huge advocate for QC Kinetics and their natural approach to getting you relief.
Look, we get one trip around, so I wouldn't ever let pain stop me from hanging out with my race team, traveling with my family, or golfing with my friends.
Emmitt's got it right. And QC Kinetics uses regenerative medicine to relieve that never-ending pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, and back. And the best news, there's nothing foreign being introduced into your body. Just your own body's natural healing properties. No surgery or no downtime.
If pain's holding you back, maybe it's tennis, pickleball, running, hiking, or spending time with special people in your life, what are you waiting for? This is precious time. Get out there and get over to QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 802-PAINLESS. That's 802-PAINLESS. QC Kinetics, 802-PAINLESS. That's 802-PAINLESS. Treatments are not yet FDA approved.
Local businesses advertise with WDEV because they get results.
We've done a broad selection of other stations, and DEV kind of represents an interesting niche. It's been one of our better producing stations. DEV has a dedicated and responsive audience, so as an advertiser, there's not much more you can ask for. Paul LaShore from Green Mountain Solar.
Interested in advertising on WDEV? Contact us at WDEV@radiovermont.com.
Think you know sports better than Brady does? Text in with your thoughts at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Red Sox baseball coming up about 25 minutes from now. 7:05 is the pregame show. 8:05 is the first pitch. Sox taking on the Texas Rangers. We will have the lineups for you on DEV coming up here in about 10 minutes or so. All right, Boomer Esiason, former NFL quarterback, was on WEEI in Boston yesterday, and he said basically what I've been saying for years here with the Patriots, but I've also said it going into this year. So this is really just an I told you so moment for me. If you won't believe me, listen to Boomer talking about the Patriots' lack of ability to make explosive plays, please.
You know, Jermaine, there's a reason for that, and I'm telling you, it's speed. You know, instead of having 4-3 guys, you have 4-5, 4-6 guys, and the opposing team, if you're not tricking them or fooling them, can stay with your guys. And, you know, a couple times I saw deep throws. It wasn't like they weren't trying to do that. But to me, it seemed like those guys were all covered, or a ball was underthrown by Mac Jones that led to an interception. So, again, you know, this whole entire league is built on speed. And the dynamic speed that a guy like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle bring to the game completely put the defense on their heels. The Patriots don't have anybody like that. They have good, solid players, don't get me wrong, but those solid players are not amongst the top 10 when it comes to explosive plays.
Ding, ding, ding. Again, just an I told you so moment. That's it. I'm not playing that for any other reason than just to gloat and just to let you, the listener, know that I actually have an idea what I'm talking about. What have I been saying has been lacking for the Patriots for the last 4 years? They lack explosiveness. Heck, they lacked explosiveness even when Tom Brady was here at the end, right? That's why they signed Josh Gordon. That's why they signed signed Antonio Brown, right? They were looking and searching for explosive playability. They haven't had it for a while, right? In 2020, Cam Newton's the quarterback, and boom, their best receiver is Damiere Byrd and Jacoby Myers. Not explosive. 2021, Jacoby Myers. 2022, Jacoby Myers, Devontae Parker, a guy that can't separate. This is who the Patriots are. This is who the Patriots have been. This is what I wish the Patriots would realize. The NFL is played differently now. Okay? If you're going to be good in the NFL, you have to go all in on building your team one of two ways as far as I'm concerned. Right? You can go the Miami Dolphins way and build speed, and trust that your guys are going to outrun other guys and that your guys are going to make other guys miss, right? So I look at the Dolphins and I think, okay, they've got Hill, they've got Waddle. Ahmed was running wild. Mostert had the 43-yard touchdown run as well. The Dolphins said, we're all in on speed. We're going to ask Tua to not do a ton. He's going to throw the ball quickly, get it to guys, and our guys are going to make the plays. So if you want to win in today's NFL, you can win that way, or you can go the opposite way and go all in on 1990s football and build up a huge offensive line, invest in running backs, and just try to bully people. And we may think that there's a limit to how you can win like that in the playoffs. You'll be too one-dimensional, but I've seen it work enough to where you can win that way, right? Cleveland did it in the COVID 2020 season. Tennessee got the number 1 seed in the playoffs that way, going all in on Derrick Henry. We don't have to love it stylistically. I don't know that it wins a Super Bowl. Those two teams didn't. But if you're going to win in 2023, you got to be all in on something. And the Patriots aren't all in on anything. They don't have the explosive players to be the Dolphins. And they don't have the great line and the bullying running backs to be the Cleveland or the Tennessee example. So, you got to pick a lane. And the Patriots haven't been able to do it. But to Boomer's point, they certainly don't have the speed, again, to be the former. They just don't. And I do like the Patriots players. I have a hard time sitting here ripping. Juju Smith-Schuster's not bad. Devontae Parker's not bad. Jacoby Myers wasn't bad. I love Jacoby Myers. But these guys are not game breakers. And you need game breakers. That's just the way the NFL is now. Okay, you need dynamic athletes. You need game breakers. I'm watching again, I'm watching that Seahawks and Lions game on Sunday, and it's played on turf, so I know everyone's faster. But I'm looking at DK Metcalf, and I'm looking at Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I'm looking at Kenneth Walker, and I'm looking at Jahmyr Gibbs. And these guys are elite, powerful athletes that put fear into teams. I'm watching Falcons-Packers a little bit, and there's Bijan Robinson, who puts fear in defensive coordinators. And Saquon Barkley, when healthy, puts fears into defensive coordinators. The Patriots don't have that. They don't have any of that. They have good, nice players. They don't have stars, and you need stars in today's NFL. And that's what Boomer's saying when he says you don't have the guys to make explosive plays. This is what the Patriots have been. Okay, they need to go methodically down the field, 12 plays, 85 yards, take 7.5 minutes. It's hard to win that way because eventually you're going to kick a field goal, or you're going to turn it over, or you're going to turn it over on downs, and you're going to have wasted 8 minutes on the clock and come away with 3 points or no points, and the other team's going to go down and score in 5 plays at 75 yards in a minute and a half, and you're going to be down 14-0 and 16-0 and 17-3 like you've been in the first 2 weeks. It's tough to play that way. Despite the warts on the Patriots, Evan Cohen of ESPN Radio was just on the show, and he said when we played yesterday, panic or patience, he's patient with the Pats.
1,000% patient. Let's be fair on this. You lose the first game to the Philadelphia Eagles. If Kayshon Boudreaux's feet are down, who knows what happens. That's the defending NFC champs. You lose the second game to the Miami Dolphins, who many people think have the leading candidate right now for MVP in Tua. And who knows, all of a sudden, if Cole Strange is 1 inch taller and gets the ball further, which I'm not blaming him, the offensive lineman in the lateral for Mike Gesicki, who knows what happens. They were inches away from 2 of the top 5 teams in the NFL. Coming off a season in which their offense at times looked inept, I think their defense is one of the best in the league. The first game, they were without their starting guard and right tackle. The second game, they were without both tackles in Trent Brown and Riley Reid, and without their second, third, and fourth best corners.
I get everything that Evan's saying, and everything that he's saying is fair. That said, you're 0-2. When you're 0-2 in the NFL, it's always panic. It's that simple. Okay? Danny, if I teach you nothing in this job as you as my producer, if you take nothing from me, take this. 0-2 in the NFL is always panic, and week 3 when you're 0-2 is always must win. It's just the way it is. So all of that can be true, and Matt can say, hey, we're 20 yards away from being 2-0. Yeah, true, fair. You're 0-2. Panic. There's things to like. There's things to be excited about. Evan's right about that. I 1,000% agree with him on that. But that said, you're 0-2 and your season's on life support. And yes, I think they're going to beat the Jets. But then they're going to go to Dallas. Do I think that this Patriots team can go score up and down on that Dallas defense? The answer is no, I don't. New Orleans is going to come to Foxborough on October 8th. I think the Patriots can beat New Orleans. We'll say they do. They're looking at 2-3. Then they're going to play the Raiders. They might be able to win that 3-3. Play the Bills, lose. Play the Dolphins again, maybe lose on the road. Now you're 3-5. Play Washington, win 4-5. Colts in Germany, 5-5. Then you get the Giants. That's the soft part of your schedule. There are some possible wins here, but there's also some serious possible losses. And we're talking about, a team that's going to be hovering, I think, around 500 again. And when you're 0-2 and you've got to go, let's see, you got to go 10-5 when 66% of your games the rest of the way to finish 10-7, which is probably what you need to guarantee yourself a playoff spot. It's not a position I want to be in. So Evan says 1,000% patience. That's not for me. Okay. I like a lot of what I've seen. I do have reasons for optimism moving forward, but it's still time for panic. When you're 0-2, it's always time for panic in the NFL. The Red Sox are beyond panic. Now we're playing out the string. We're looking for moral victories for the Red Sox. Red Sox looking to play spoiler in the AL wildcard race, in the AL playoff race tonight against the Texas Rangers. Lineups and some Red Sox commentary next on DEV.
Free, 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 free. Coffee, 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 coffee. Fridays, 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 Fridays. I'm not an echo.
an amazing offer. Hey, All Town Neighborhood Perks members. Celebrate National Coffee Day all month long with a free, delicious All Town Fresh coffee every Friday in September at Jiffy Mart and T-Bird stores. Not a member? Join now at alltownneighborhoodperks.com. Okay, that's an echo.
Only at participating locations while supplies last.
Hello, my name is Kelly Elwell, nurse practitioner. I oversee Central Vermont Home Health and Hospice's palliative care program, and I am here to help you. Palliative care at CVHHH helps Central Vermonters living with serious or life-limiting illness, such as cancer, lung or heart disease, and dementia, access the care, resources, and emotional support they need. People who receive palliative care services from CVHHH can continue to receive curative treatments such as chemo and radiation therapy. They do not need to be homebound or be a current CVHHH patient. As a palliative care provider, I am here to help you and your family in patient-centered holistic care. I can help you manage your pain and symptoms in coordination with your existing care team, support you to understand and articulate your goals of care, write an advanced care plan, and connect you with the resources you need. It is my goal to help you maintain your independence and experience the highest possible quality of life. Central Vermont Home Health and Hospice is here for you. I would love the opportunity to support you and your family. Please visit cvhhh.org for more information and to schedule a consultation.
Are you ready to Moxie? Join us for Copley Hospital's annual Gravel Moxie Ride on October 14th. Riders can choose from a 50-mile ride that challenges them with curves, slopes, and hills, while greeting them with views of Mount Mansfield and beyond. Our 30-mile scenic route brings riders to the edge of Vermont's beauty spots, Lake Almore, and on to some of the best scenery that Almore and Morrisville have to offer. Or maybe it's our 10-mile family fun ride that takes riders on trails with gentle sloping. Join us on Saturday, October 14th, as we take on some of the best gravel our Green Mountain State has to offer, while taking in some of the most beautiful countryside in support of our community hospital. Celebrate fall with a 50, 30, or 10-mile family fun ride in support of Copley. Register now at bikereg.com or visit copleyvt.org. Get your Moxie on and ride for Copley on October 14th.
New England Municipal Resource Center, NEMRIC, proudly supporting local government, local businesses, and WDEV.
Having pain like that and not knowing how you caused it and for how long it's lasting, it's debilitating.
QC Kinetics patient Diane Richardson hated not being able to live her life to the fullest due to joint pain. But then she called QC Kinetics, where regenerative treatments helped her pain go away.
The result was phenomenal.
QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in using natural biologics to restore and repair damaged joint tissue.
This was a great alternative for me as opposed to going in and possibly having surgery or something else. There was no downtime, and that's what I love. My life is too busy for me to be sidelined.
If you're tired of constant pain from arthritis or injury, don't think the old treatments are the only treatments. Discover regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics.
Just to feel good and know that I'm out of pain is the best thing ever. I'm able to do everything that I want to do.
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 802-PAINLESS. That's 802-PAINLESS. QC Kinetics, 802-PAINLESS. Treatments are not yet FDA approved.
The WDEV studio is sponsored by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont's largest independent home center, powered by Marvin Doors and Windows. Go to sticksandstuff.com for store locations and hours.
Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Red Sox baseball comes up about 15 minutes from now. We'll have the lineups for you momentarily against the Rangers. Nathan Eovaldi on the mound in this one for Texas. Breaking news out of Major League Baseball. Shohei Ohtani announced today that he had elbow surgery. His season is over. We knew that he was going to need surgery on his elbow. We didn't know what kind of surgery. We still don't know what procedure he exactly had, but his agency says he will be hitting at the beginning of next season, and he will not pitch until 2025. So I don't know what he had, right? If he had Tommy John surgery, it would be tough for him to be back hitting by opening day. It's possible. Bryce Harper had Tommy John surgery early in November last year and was back hitting at the beginning of June. So about 7 months or so. If Ohtani got Tommy John surgery in September, could he be back by early April? Possible. He could have also had the internal brace procedure, which is what Trevor Story had. Remember, Story had that surgery in January and was back playing for the Red Sox in August. Now, again, he's a position player, not a pitcher. So I don't know what Ohtani had, but he had elbow surgery. He won't pitch all of next season. That's big for his free agency, right? And how much money he's going to get. I'll be curious to see how big the offers get, right? Does a team offer him a 10-year deal knowing they won't have him pitch for all of that time? Does a team offer him a 2-year deal and say, hey, come be the best hitter in baseball all of 2024 and we'll have you pitch in 2025? I don't know, right? But if I'm the Red Sox, I'm in on Ohtani, 1,000%. And the Red Sox are going to have a new man in charge here, and they're gonna give that new man the money to go spend. I fully believe that. They're gonna give whoever's here the budget to go out and make a big splash. And maybe Ohtani is someone the Red Sox now are gonna be, gonna fully be in the Shohei Ohtani business. I don't know that he'll want to come here, but the Red Sox should be in business for him or in play for him, and their new management team should certainly have the ability to go spend. Danny, the lineup music. Sox are 75 and 76. Rangers are 82 and 68. They are 1.5 back in the AL West race. They're also tied for the third and final wild card spot in the AL. Tanner Houck pitches for Boston, 5-9 with a 4.94. Nathan Eovaldi, old friend for the Rangers, 11-4 with a 2.96. Alex Verdugo leads off in right. Rafi Devers at third. Justin Turner, the DH. Masataka Yoshida in left. Adam Duvall in center. Trevor Story at short. Connor Wong, the catcher. Bobby Dahlbeck at first. And Luis Arias is at second. For the Rangers, Marcus Semien at second. Corey Seager at short. Nathaniel Lowe at first. Josh Young at third. Robbie Grossman, the DH. Adolis Garcia in right. 100 RBIs for him. Jonah Heim, the catcher. Leody Taveras in center. And Evan Carter, the young prospect, is the 9-hole batter, and he plays left field. That'll do it for us. Evan Cohen interview available on our podcast channel. Full show to follow momentarily. Red Sox baseball is next. Thanks to Danny. I'll see you tomorrow. The Brady Farkas Show on DEV.
The 18th annual Big Dog Daddy Hearing Clearance Sale is on at Memorial Valley Chevy. Tell them